Hey guys, tonight we slip into the dust, wind and thunder of hooves across the wild plains, because tonight you're being born as a wild horse, not a stallion in shining armor, not a show pony with brushed mane and carrot treats. No, you're the wriggling wet lump that just plopped into a world where hesitation equals death, and your first breath might be your most dangerous. Around you, the scent of blood hits the morning air like a dinner bell for predators. The grass is trampled, the herd is tense, and your legs, long trembling stilts, aren't even sure they're legs yet. You blink, and everything is light, and panic, and wind. Your mother nudges you, rough but deliberate. You're not allowed to be weak. There's no warm nest, no gentle rocking. You are expected to stand. Now, because the coyotes already know you exist. They always do. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Also, let me know your location and what time you're listening in the comments. It always amazes me how far this little bedtime herd stretches across the globe. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're slick with afterbirth, wobbly as a toddler on stilts, and already panicking, because your mother won't stop nudging you. The instinct is ancient, move or die. You are prey, and even your first breath is laced with the scent of something that wants to eat you. A golden eagle overhead, cute, until it stoops down and snatches your cousin, a smaller foal who wasn't quite fast enough. You'd scream, but your voice hasn't decided how to work yet. The evolutionary lottery granted you the legs of a track star and the stomach of a lawnmower. You'll need both. You scramble up, legs trembling like overcooked spaghetti, and you fall twice. Third time though, you're up, heart hammering. You barely have time to shake the slime off before your mother is moving. This isn't cruelty, it's survival choreography. In wild horse herds, foals are expected to stand within an hour of birth, often much sooner. Why? Because you're in an open grassland where wolves, cougars, and bears are watching like it's Black Friday at the newborn buffet. And you're the only item on sale. You stumble after her, she doesn't slow down, she can't. The scent of blood is fading, but not fast enough. You follow the thunder of the herd, a sound that vibrates up your legs and into your skull. Welcome to your birthright, stampede or perish. There's no celebration, no gender reveal, just mud, wind and the growing realization that you'll never feel safe. Not really. And there's that first drink of milk, warm, calming, laced with the comforting lie that everything might be okay, for 10 seconds. Then a shriek from the edge of the herd, an older mare is limping, left behind, and 3 coyotes are already closing in. Your eyes lock. You freeze. She doesn't make it. You learn that fast. A single misstep, a moment of weakness, and you are disassembled in the grass, remembered only in scent. The herd keeps moving. The herd always moves. But there's something deep in your bones that says keep up. Something so old that even scientists don't entirely understand it. One theory suggests that the rapid development of foals, the need to run within minutes, comes from millions of years of evolutionary pressure in open plains with no hiding spots. Another suggests it's more social. Without movement, you can't bond, and without bonding, you won't be defended. Both theories sound nice. Neither will save you if your legs fail. A gust of wind carries the smell of water, faint and distant. You'll walk for hours to reach it. At just a few hours old, you're not carried or coddled. You walk, you stumble, you cry, soft, nasal bleats that barely escape your tiny throat. They'll betray your location if you're not careful. So most of the time, you just stay quiet. And the land, it's not exactly your friend. One wrong hoof step, and you're in a gopher hole. Your ankle twisted, your future over. Remember, horses don't do crutches. They do collapse from exhaustion and get eaten. Even your own kind isn't always a comfort. An older stallion lashes out as you get too close to his mare. The sharp edge of a hoof slices the air inches from your face. You learn to read body language, the way humans read social media comments, obsessively, defensively, constantly. Somewhere in the distance, thunder rolls, Or is it hoof? Could be either. You'll live your whole life mistaking one for the other. Either way, it's time to move again. By sundown you've walked miles. Your legs ache, your breath comes in huff, but you're still upright, still alive. A miracle, really, when you consider the odds. In some wild horse populations, foal mortality can be as high as 40% in the first year. You're not special, you're just lucky. So far, your eyelids droop, and you doze standing up, still shaking, still listening. You'll never sleep deeply. Not out here. And that's your welcome to the world. You're walking now? If you can even call this awkward, bone-jangling wobble walking. Truthfully, it's more like a haunted marionette being dragged across the landscape by pure evolutionary terror. Your mother doesn't wait. The herd doesn't wait. You could still be drying off from birth. And yet, the rule is keep up or become jerky for scavengers. The sun rises higher, bleaching the plains with its unrelenting heat. No shade, no soft moss, just a blur of grass, dust and hooves pounding like war drums. You're not even a day old, and you're already part of a caravan of paranoia. And here's the kicker, your own mum, the one who literally just brought you into this unforgiving parade, is emotionally distant. Not because she doesn't love you though. Okay, that's up for debate, but because nature didn't give her the luxury. Her job is not to cuddle, it's to make sure you don't die in the first 24 hours. So while you're trying to figure out how to walk without falling over your own kneecaps, she's already scanning for predators, listening for the rustle of something too quiet in the grass. She'll protect you, but only as long as you don't make her a target too. Bonding is efficient, brutally so. If you can't walk fast enough, she may abandon you. That's not rare, that's protocol. In fact, one fringe observation from feral horse behavior suggests that mares have a subconscious tolerance threshold. If a foal stumbles too much in those early hours, it's filed under bad investment. Your suckling time is brief, a few quick gulps of milk, then boom, on the move again. And when you fall behind, you don't get soft whinnies of encouragement. You get sharp nudges, bites even. Discipline starts early in wild horse culture, and the lesson: you're only as valuable as your mobility. There's a sense of constant low-grade panic in the air. Every noise gets a twitch, every gust of wind a cautious glance. Horses are prey animals, wired for vigilance, and this herd is no different. Your mother startles at a bird's shadow and spins, nearly trampling you. You learn quickly, don't get too close to the adults. They panic flinch with the strength of a sledgehammer, and hooves like sledgehammers too. By midday, your legs are shaking. You didn't realize legs could shake this long without just giving out. But somehow, you keep going. You press your muzzle against your mother's flank, hoping for comfort, but she's swatting flies with her tail and doesn't notice or care. Emotional availability, that's a domesticated luxury. Your stomach is empty again, and she's not stopping. You bleat softly, a pitiful sound that goes ignored by the herd and possibly noted by a bobcat half a mile away. Another hour, and you're walking in a daze, hooves dragging, and this is just day one. And remember that thing about no shelter? Yeah, let's talk about that. Wild horses don't build nests, they don't have dens. There's no cute burrow for you to crawl into when you're scared or tired. You sleep standing, in the open, with the wind slicing through your still damp fur. If a thunderstorm rolls in, you get wet. If it hails, you get bruised. If there's lightning, you become a crispy cautionary tale. Meanwhile, your mother continues to walk, to graze, to glance around with twitchy eyes and flared nostrils. She never really looks at you the way humans imagine animal mothers do. There's no beaming pride, no joy, just instinct. Her nervous energy wraps around you like a second skin. You don't know what calm is, and you probably never will. Scientists are still debating whether wild horse herds form long-term emotional bonds, or if it's all just loosely held proximity with some very aggressive social pecking order tossed in. The truth probably lies somewhere in between. You'll have moments of connection, brief rubs, synchronized movements, but they're fleeting. You're part of a unit, not a family, a leg in a centipede. Lose one, keep crawling. By evening, as the sun smears blood-orange streaks across the sky, the herd slows. Your legs are raw, your lips are cracked, But the worst part, you're starting to understand that this pace is permanent. There will be no slowing down as you grow, only more expectations, more distance to cover. You collapse in a patch of grass, too tired to notice the mosquitoes nesting in your ears. Your mother stands beside you, dozing lightly but still alert. Her ears flick constantly, radar tuned to the frequency of death. And you sleep for the first time in 24 hours, but only because your body quits on you. Welcome to motherhood in the wild. Brisk, cold, necessary. And lucky you got a mom who at least stuck around. That's about as good as it gets out here. You wake before dawn because the ground never really lets you sleep. Dew soaks your legs, your sides, your tail. There is no softness here, only wet chill and the groaning reminder that your legs still aren't sure they like this life thing. You're alive, yes, but comfort. That's a fairy tale whispered among house cats and golden retrievers. The herd is already moving. No call, no heads up, just the shuffle of hooves, and that constant, low grumble of muscle and dust, as the group starts its daily pilgrimage toward not dying. You stumble up, there's no grace yet, and you do your best to blend in, small, shaky, but not so small as to scream easy meal. At least, that's the hope. Now, here's the fun part. Everything wants a bite of you. Literally everything with teeth and a digestive system. Coyotes still circle at night, but now the sun's rising, and that means the bigger, braver predators come out to play. Wolves, cougars, even a rogue bear if it's hungry enough. Oh, and humans. But we'll get to those unsettling bipedal nightmares later. For now, you're a snack wrapped in legs, and every rustle in the grass could be your execution notice. That's why the herd constantly shifts, circles, twitches. You think it's paranoia, but it's math. Predators prefer the young, the sick, the old, the easy, and guess what box you still tick? You hear a distant yelp, a blur of movement from the rear of the herd. A foal not unlike you, maybe even born just after. Didn't keep up, maybe she tripped, maybe she wandered off. Either way you hear it, the snap of jaws, the strangled bleat, the silence that follows. No one turns around. Here's your quirky tidbit of the day. In the American West, some wild horses develop what's known as evasive spiraling, a herding behavior where they run in wide, unpredictable loops to throw off predators. It's a bit like if NASCAR and fear had a baby. It's not elegant, but it works. Sometimes. The cost. Foals get left behind in the chaos. You learn that lesson early. Don't be in the wrong loop. You and your mother are halfway through a shallow gully when a crow startles from the brush. She bolts forward, leaving you momentarily behind. You freeze, expecting death by talon or tooth, but nothing happens, just a bird. This time, you trot forward again, heart thudding like a drum solo in your chest cavity. One theory suggests that the equine heart, larger than most mammals relative to body size, isn't just for speed, but also a byproduct of this constant alertness. Nature gifted you a giant anxiety engine. Congratulations. As the day unfolds, your hooves begin to toughen. They have to. Rocky terrain, dry soil, sharp thorns. Your shoes are permanent and unsympathetic. Your legs stretch into awkward elegance. You're starting to look like a horse now, kind of, but you're still not safe. You'll never really be safe. And the predators, they evolve too. Wolves hunt in teams, knowing how to split the herd. Cougars prefer ambushes from trees. You don't even look up yet. And humans, well, they're the worst of all. You don't know it yet, but somewhere not far off, a helicopter stirs, a tiny dot in the sky, bringing noise, confusion, and a trap wrapped in bureaucracy. It's not today, but soon. Your ancestors knew it. Your mother has probably felt it, the odd hum in the earth before the skies roar and chaos rains down. But for now, you graze beside her, the illusion of calm stretching just wide enough to lull you into another uneasy rhythm. Your ears twitch constantly. Your tail is your only weapon against the flies, and even that fails often. As you graze, you learn something else. Your mouth is a sifter. Horses evolved to eat fast and filter out dirt, sand, seeds, and occasionally, actual bones left in the grass from a nearby kill. Yes, you share your food zone with killers, Your mother snorts suddenly, and the herd tightens. You don't know what it is. None of you do, but something just felt wrong. Maybe it was the wind shifting, maybe it was the silence, or maybe some ancient horse ghost just whispered, "Run." So you run, and run, and run. This is how life goes for a wild horse. 90% boredom, 10% blind panic too. But that 10%, that's where all the dying happens. So you never truly relax. You outrun the fear this time, just adrenaline and hooves and breath, like smoke in the cold morning air. But the lesson will burned in your bones. If it rustles, flee. If it smells wrong, flee. If it feels wrong, don't ask questions, flee. Later, when the herd slows and the sun dips again, you collapse beside your mother. Again, no cuddles, no bedtime stories, just the faint warmth of her flank, and the ever-present buzz of insects around your ears. Tomorrow, you do it all again, and the next day, and the one after that, because everything wants a bite, and you're still small, still easy, still delicious. The herd slows, and you think, finally, a break. But no, this isn't a vacation, it's drama time. You see, while you've been busy not dying, there's been a whole different battlefield brewing within the herd, one that has nothing to do with predators and everything to do with power. Herd life is complicated. You probably thought it was all synchronized galloping and dust-choked sunsets. Try soap opera with hooves. And the main character? Not you, not your mother. It's the stallion, the patriarch, the walking hormone tornado with one job: keep the herd safe and the bloodline going, which means kicking, biting, charging, and occasionally exiling your uncles into the wilderness, like they're characters in a bad Greek myth. The stallion isn't just some chill leader, he's on edge all the time. Every snort from a rival stallion triggers a WWE audition. He patrols the herd like a dictator, with anxiety issues. And you're just background scenery in his constant bid to keep control. Today he's not pleased. Another stallion, maybe younger, shinier, full of bad ideas, has been trailing the herd for days, getting closer each night. And now, the big fight's happening. You don't hear it at first, you feel it. The ground shudders, dust clouds rise. Then, the screams, those deep guttural cries of rage that only horses and Hollywood monsters know how to produce. The two males crash together in a blur of teeth and hooves, rearing, biting, lashing out with the kind of violence that's oddly beautiful. If you weren't, right next to it. One gets slammed into a tree, and another twists just in time to avoid a full bite to the neck. This is no scuffle, this is eviction or death. You and your mom retreat a few paces. Everyone watches, silent. There are no cheers, no referees, just instinctual judgment. Who's stronger? Who's smarter? Who's still breathing in 10 minutes? Here's the mainstream fact. Most wild horse herds are managed by a dominant stallion, but they're actually held together by a lead mare, who decides where and when the herd moves. The stallion's job: defend, breed, look tough. That's it. The mares run the social calendar. But in your foal brain that nuance doesn't register. All you know is that two massive beasts are trying to kill each other, and if either of them turns in your direction, you're going to get launched into the next valley like a hoofed cannonball. Eventually one of them gives in. Bloodied, limping, pride shredded into hay, the challenger retreats, disappearing into the tree line. For now, because stallions don't forget, and neither do their wounds. He'll be back, or another will. They always come back. The current alpha, victorious but bleeding, trots along the perimeter like a prizefighter, doing a victory lap. His body is tense, his eyes are wild, and all the mares, they pretend not to care, but they do, because his dominance affects the whole herd, especially the foals. If he gets overthrown, your mother might be taken, or chased. You might be separated, or worse, if the new stallion isn't from your bloodline, he might kill you outright. Yes, that's the part no one talks about. Foal infanticide. If a new stallion takes over a herd, he'll often kill the existing foals so the mares return to estrus faster. You are not his child, then you are a biological delay. Scientists are still debating how common this is, but observations in multiple feral populations suggest it's real, brutal, and tragically effective. your best defense. Stay invisible, stay fast, stay close. Back to today. The dust settles. Your stallion, nicked and proud, chases off a couple of younger colts who dared look a little too confident. It's pecking order maintenance, always is. If you're born male, by the way, enjoy it while it lasts. When you hit adolescence, you'll be chased out too. Exiled like those uncles you never met. You glance at your mother. She's grazing like nothing happened, like you didn't just witness equine Game of Thrones. This for her is routine. For you, it's a preview of coming trauma. Oh, and here's your quirky tidbit. In some horse populations, bachelor herds form, a group of kicked-out stallions who hang together like angsty teenage boys at the food court. They spar, they roam, they dream of stealing a few mares one day. Most won't succeed, but they try. Every year, as night falls, the herd moves again, slower this time, as if the day's chaos wrung something out of all of you, but no one talks about it. No one needs to. Out here, emotional processing is a luxury you can't afford. You're learning the rules now. Rule 1, drama is constant. Rule 2, your place in the herd is fluid, until it isn't. And Rule 3, don't get too attached to peace, because when it's quiet, something's usually about to break. You'd think that after the brawl and near infanticide threats of yesterday, today might offer a breather. But no, because the thing about being a wild horse is that there's never really a break, just longer gaps between emergencies. Now the drama of hierarchy settles into a different flavor. Low-level, ongoing emotional warfare. Think high school, but everyone's 500 kilograms and one bad mood away from trampling each other. Welcome to the herd dynamics portion of your nightmare. And no, you don't get to opt out. The herd looks peaceful from afar. Dozens of horses grazing side by side, the occasional swish of a tail, a nudge of a nose. But underneath, it's a slow-boiled stew of grudges, rivalries, and subtle bullying. You'll spend the rest of your life deciphering the silent language of pinned ears, swishing tails, and sideways glances. Misread one? Boom. You're bitten on the rump and demoted to you don't get water first status. Your mother has her spot, and she guards it. Another mare gets too close. She lashes out, not because she's mean, but because order must be maintained. It's survival through etiquette, enforced with teeth. There's a lead mare, of course. You don't see her giving orders, but everyone follows her. She decides where the herd moves, when to rest, when to drink. She's the Google Maps of survival, and she's earned it through age, experience, and a tendency to win arguments with her teeth. You're learning by watching. Who steps forward when danger calls? Who gets the best grazing patch? Who gets ignored when they call for help? It's all data, and your little brain is processing it at lightning speed, because one misstep and you're that foal no one notices until you're gone. Here's the biological fact to file away while you're at it. Wild horses rely heavily on body language for communication. No whinnies, no shouting matches, just muscle tension, posture, ear position, tail movement. It's the quietest form of constant shouting you'll ever experience, and you, little observer that you are starting to notice something else. Being in the herd isn't just about protection, it's about reputation. There are mares who are respected, and mares who are tolerated. The former eat first, rest best, and get extra defense when predators strike. The latter, let's just say, if something has to be sacrificed to buy time, yeah, there's no HR department here, no apologies. If you cross the wrong line, expect a kick, literally, and they don't hold back. Here's a fringe tidbit that scientists are still gathering data on. Mares have been observed forming alliances, not quite friendships, but partnerships of convenience. Some even raise their foals close together, creating micro-cliques within the larger herd. It's adorable, it's strategic, it's terrifying if you're not part of one. And you're a child, stuck in the middle of this complex social machine with no manual. You're trying to figure out who you can stand near without getting your ears boxed. You lean on another foal once, lightly, just testing. Then mother turns and bites your shoulder, before you can say nay. Lesson learned: proximity equals permission, unless it doesn't. But don't worry, you'll get used to it, or you'll become emotionally numb. Nature isn't picky. the weirdest part, even sleep is competitive. At night, horses take turns dozing so someone's always alert, but not all turns are equal. Higher ranked horses sleep longer and deeper, lower ranked ones jerk awake at every sound. Guess where you rank? During one of these foggy twilight rests, you see two young colts mock fighting. It looks like play, rearing, lunging, neck biting, but it's not just fun. It's rehearsal. These are practice battles for future dominance, future herds. The stakes are imaginary now, they won't be later, and you wonder, will you have to fight like that? Will you win? What happens if you don't? Here's an open debate for your internal anxiety pile. Researchers aren't sure how much of a horse's social status is learned behavior versus inherited temperament. Are bold foals destined to lead, or does environment mold the fighter? Either way, you're watching the auditions begin. Later that day, a rainstorm hits. No warning, just wind, then stinging droplets. The herd tightens, heads down. No shelter, of course, just open land and wet spines. You shiver beside your mother, drenched to the skin, your fur clinging to your ribs like a wet blanket of shame. A gust of wind lifts a piece of tumbleweed that smacks into your face. You spook, trip over your own legs, and fall into a muddy puddle. 3 nearby foals see it. One laughs. Well, wickers in that smug way only baby horses can. You've now become a footnote in herd gossip. Congratulations. The rain stops, the wind dies, the sun returns with that unapologetic glare it always brings. You're still damp, but no one cares. Dry yourself or stay soggy. Life moves, so does the herd. By nightfall, the tension has returned. A predator's been trailing again. Nothing visible, just the feeling. The lead mare lifts her head. The stallion circles wider. The air tightens, and every horse's position matters, because when it all goes wrong, and it will, those closest to the center live longer, and you're still trying to earn that spot. You'd give anything for just one moment of silence that didn't feel like a setup. But in the wild, even peace has teeth. Even the quietest days are loaded with tension, and even the most beautiful dawns feel like they're hiding a punchline. Today starts calm. Too calm. The sky is washed in that pink-orange gradient that makes humans swoon and snap photos. But you've learned that pretty skies mean nothing out here, except maybe a clearer view for the eagles circling above. The herd is grazing, dispersed but still within reach of one another. You wander just a little, a few meters. Grass here is greener, a patch untouched. Jackpot. You lower your head and chew, ears twitching with the rhythm of your jaw. That's when you hear it. A distant hum, not from the earth, from above. Your mother lifts her head fast, ears rigid, eyes locked on the horizon. Others do the same. Then the lead mare lets out a low, almost imperceptible snort. You don't know what it means, but your body does. It means move. The hum gets louder, unnatural, not like a bird, not like a growl. It's the sound of a metal sky demon, a helicopter. You've never seen one before, but your ancestors have, and somewhere deep in your bones panic blooms like fire. The herd explodes. You sprint with them. No questions, no looking back. The thunder of hooves becomes a living thing, a river of motion that surges across the plain. The air fills with dust, fear, and noise. The chopper dips lower, corralling the herd like a steel-winged predator. Humans below shout, wave flags, fire blanks. They call it a gather. You call it a nightmare. Here's the mainstream fact. Wild horse roundups happen across regions like Nevada and Utah, where government programs try to manage overpopulation by capturing and relocating herds. It's controversial. Some call it conservation. Others call it cruelty with a budget. And you're stuck in the middle. A speck in a panicked stampede. Eyes wide, chest burning, legs screaming for relief. You nearly trip over a gopher hole, regain your footing, and keep running. A younger foal isn't so lucky. He tumbles and is nearly trampled. You veer around him, barely registering the chaos. Somewhere behind, your stallion screams. He's circling back, trying to protect the rear. Brave, foolish. He's outnumbered, outmatched. You run until your lungs are fire, and your vision blurs. Eventually the noise fades. The chopper veers off. The humans are gone. For now, but you're not okay. None of you are. The herd slows, breathes hard, bodies steaming. A mare is missing. 2 foals, 1 elder with a limp. No one says anything. You just move forward, always forward. Here's your quirky tidbit. Some wild horses have been recorded, remembering chopper routes. They change migration paths for years after a roundup, almost as if the sky itself betrayed them. You want to collapse, but there's no time, no soft landing, just the hollow relief of we survived, and the heavy silence of not all of us did. And as the sun reaches its peak again, that false peace returns. The kind that looks lovely on camera, but tastes like dust and grief. You nuzzle your mother, seeking reassurance, but she's staring at the sky. You do too, because out here, even peace is dangerous. Even quiet is a warning. As if fleeing helicopters, avoiding fights, and decoding horse politics weren't exhausting enough. Now you get to deal with a problem that's both intimate and gross. Parasites. Yep, you are a walking buffet, and you didn't even get to choose the menu. Every inch of you, from your mane to your tail to the warm, damp spaces between your legs, is real estate for freeloaders. Fleas hop aboard like tourists on a free safari. Ticks dig in and anchor themselves like stubborn family members who just need a place to crash. And flies. Don't even get started on the flies. You are their personal amusement park, and they've bought season passes. Your tail flicks constantly, a weak and twitchy windshield wiper against a torrential storm of winged bloodsuckers. At first it feels like a game, until one lands in your ear, or worse, on your eyeball. There's no dignity in slamming your head against your own shoulder trying to dislodge a pest the size of a lentil. You watch the older horses. They've got moves, strategic rolls in the dust, coordinated tail whipping sessions, mutual grooming deals where one scratches the other's back. Literally. You try mimicking one of the yearlings, attempting a dusty flop. Instead, you fall directly into a patch of thistle and shriek so loud a nearby bird bolts from a bush. Congratulations, now you're itchy and embarrassed. Here's your mainstream fact. Wild horses rely heavily on dust baths to control parasites. The fine dirt clogs the spiracles of insects and dislodges external parasites, while also offering a thin protective coating against the sun. Think of it as nature's dry shampoo, but angrier. Of course, the real problem isn't just the bugs you can see, it's the ones inside. Worms, flukes, microscopic monsters swimming through your guts like they own the place. You were probably infected within your first few days. Parasite eggs in the grass, in your mother's milk, on her teats. Some horses live with them forever, some don't. One quirky tidbit from feral populations in Australia suggests that certain wild horses develop an instinct for grazing in cleaner areas or avoiding specific waterholes, areas known to harbor higher parasite loads. But that kind of wisdom comes with age. You just eat what's in front of you, even if it's next to someone else's poop. And then there's the scratching. Sweet relief if you can find a tree, a rock, a post, anything to rub against. But it's not just you who thinks that rock is perfect. You wander up to a smooth boulder and start to lean in, until an older mare hisses at you and drives you off with a shoulder bump that nearly knocks you sideways. That's her scratching rock, apparently. So you try a bush. It helps, a little, until it stabs you. Parasites don't just make you itchy. They drain you. They sap your energy. Your coat gets dull. Your belly distends a little. Your hooves grow brittle if the worms are bad enough, and no one checks on you. There are no vet visits, no deworming paste. You suffer in silence, and if you can't keep up, you're left behind. One theory, still being debated, suggests that some horse herds self-regulate parasite load by moving frequently. The constant migration doesn't just avoid predators, it limits the concentration of larvae in any one area. It's like rotating your campsite to avoid your own toilet. Makes sense, probably not intentional, but it works. Sometimes. By afternoon, you're twitching, stamping, and shivering. Not from cold, just everything itches. You nip at your own legs, tail lashing like a whip. Your mother ignores you. A few flies land on the corner of your eye and drink your tears. Yes, that's a thing, fly tears. You attempt a mutual grooming moment with a nearby foal. He lets you nibble at his withers for 3 seconds, then kicks at you and gallops away, rude. By sunset you find a small hill where the wind is stronger, and for a few brief moments it drives the insects away. You stand there, eyes half-lidded, trying not to think about your insides writhing with freeloaders. You look down the slope and see the rest of the herd clustered in a loose circle, each horse twitching, stamping, tail whipping in semi-unison. It almost looks coordinated, like a dance choreographed by irritation and evolution. And as the sky fades to lavender, you realize something important. No matter how fast you run, how well you hide, how good your instincts are, something is always feeding on you. Sometimes with teeth, sometimes with tiny legs and terrible timing. You know how humans say, "You were born to run"? For wild horses, that's not poetic. It's just brutally literal. You run because it's the only reason you're alive right now. You run because every predator, every dust storm, every trap from the two-legged demons in the sky requires a single skill: move fast or die trying. And the thing about being born for speed, it means every single day of your life is leg day. You're barely a few weeks old, and already you've clocked more miles than most humans drive in a month. Your hooves hit the earth with the rhythm of desperation, of practice, of readiness. You're always ready to flee, never truly relaxed. Every still moment is just an ambush waiting to be proven. But here's the kicker: you can't stop. Not for long. Not even when your legs ache, or your hooves crack, or your lungs feel like they're on fire. Because standing still, that's a death sentence with velvet wrapping. One mainstream biological fact: horses have evolved with a unique system called the stay apparatus, which allows them to sleep standing up without collapsing. It's a neat trick, until you realize it's not for comfort, it's so you can wake up running. Today your herd is crossing an open stretch of flatland. No cover, no trees, just endless grass and sky. It's beautiful. If you're a bird, if you're a foal, it's a sniper's dream. You graze, ears swiveling, eyes scanning, your legs twitch constantly, even while you chew. It's not nerves, it's your body preparing to bolt, just in case, because running isn't a choice, it's the default. Here's your quirky tidbit. Some researchers studying Przewalski's horses, those ancient wild horses of Mongolia, have noted that even in protected reserves, they still pace and fidget constantly. Generations removed from predators, their DNA still screams run first. Ask questions never. Your own herd lives this truth religiously. You've seen mares chase away younger stallions for walking too slowly. You've watched foals like you collapse from exhaustion, only to be nipped awake by their mothers. There's no tolerance for slowness. There's no mercy for weakness. Even when you stop to drink, it's a performance of speed. Approach water, sip, listen, sip, twitch, flee, repeat. Water itself is another problem we'll get to later, but for now, it's just another thing you access in sprint intervals. The most heartbreaking part: running doesn't always save you. You remember the foal who twisted her leg last week. Just a slight misstep. Maybe she stepped in a soft patch. Maybe her hoof snagged a root. Either way, she slowed. Within minutes, she was limping. The herd kept going. Your mother didn't even look back. That's the rule. No one said goodbye. No one went back. Just silence. She was part of the herd one moment, and then she wasn't. Scientists are still debating whether wild horses experience grief in the same way domesticated ones do. Some say yes. They've observed lingering at bodies, sniffing fallen companions. Others say it's just curiosity, a delay before moving on. Either way, those moments are brief, because if you linger, you die too. So you run, you practice without knowing you're practicing. Every game, every race with another foal is a disguised training session. Every sudden burst at a fluttering leaf is muscle memory building. Even in sleep, your dreams pulse with movement. You twitch in your rest, legs flexing as if galloping through ghost plains. Your body knows. It always knows. And as you grow stronger, taller, sleeker, the expectation grows with you. You're expected to run farther, faster, longer, because the predators grow with you too. They watch from the tree line. They wait for night. They learn your patterns. So you break them. You don't graze in the same spots 2 nights in a row. You don't move in predictable lines. The lead mare keeps everyone guessing, and the stallion keeps everyone moving. There is no destination, just the movement, the flow, the muscle of the herd flexing across the landscape like a single creature with 1,000 legs. And you're just one of them, a leg in that beast, a heartbeat in the stampede, born to run, forced to keep running, forever. It's the hottest day you've lived through so far, and the sun feels less like a distant celestial body, and more like a personal vendetta aimed directly at your skull. Your tongue is thick, your throat is dry. Even your tail, usually twitching with defiant sarcasm, now drags through the dust like a wilted flag. You need water. Everyone does. The herd slows its pace, nostrils flaring, ears scanning, heads low, not in fear this time, but in that rare collective desperation that even pride can't hide. Finding water in the wild isn't just about luck, it's about memory, wind direction, animal signs, and a bit of ancestral sorcery passed down through hooves and hunches. The lead mare tilts her head slightly, sniffs, and without a word or even a sound, you all begin moving again. She's guessed a direction, or remembered one, or dreamed it last night. Nobody questions her. Your mouth tastes like dust. Every blade of grass crunches instead of bends. Even the insects seem annoyed. Your sides are streaked with salt from your own sweat, and you start to feel a strange mix of dizziness and urgency, like if you don't drink soon, your organs might file a formal resignation. Here's your biological fact. Wild horses can go without water for up to 48 hours, but prolonged periods of dehydration lead to reduced digestion, fatigue, and collapse. You're young, small, and already past your limit. Finally the smell hits, muddy, metallic, life-giving. The herd picks up speed, dust kicks up around you, and for a moment, the pace feels like a stampede again. But this time, it's not from fear, it's from hope. You crest a hill, and there it is, a shallow watering hole. Not much, but enough. And that's when the tension spikes again. You're not the only ones who found it. Deer are already there, twitchy and wide-eyed. A small group of feral cattle grazes nearby, and worse hoofprints from earlier visitors, sharper, cloven, boar, maybe, or something else. The lead mare makes a sound, not loud, just deliberate. Everyone slows, approaches carefully. You're not just walking into refreshment, you're walking into potential ambush. You drink quickly, not deeply. Sips, slurps, eyes on the tree line. And here's your quirky tidbit. In some arid environments, horses will dig shallow holes with their hooves to access groundwater, creating mini oases that other animals rely on. These are called punch wells. And no, they're not polite invitations. They're declarations. We were here first. But this pool, it wasn't punched. It was found. That means it's fair game. And that means the predators know it too. You look up mid-drink to see a cougar watching from the rocks, not attacking, just taking notes. Your mother nudges you away, not panicked, just practical. You've had enough, more than enough, actually. And in this place, too much comfort equals danger. So you move on, stomach full, but nerves frayed. Scientists are still debating whether wild horses make conscious decisions about when to risk certain water sources, or if it's entirely instinctual. But after today, you're pretty sure it's both. Later you realize the downside of hydration. Now everything feels heavier. Your body, your steps, your thoughts. You want to lie down and digest. But the herd is already moving, because just behind hydration comes digestion. And just behind digestion comes predators who can smell bloated, sleepy horses. So you walk again, and now the water you drank sloshes uncomfortably in your belly, As the sun lowers and the world turns gold again, you pass a patch of mud, and for a moment, there's laughter. A few foals roll in it, splash a bit, forget the rules. It's short-lived. The stallion circles, reminds them, even joy must be brief. Still in that moment, you see something, how desperately you crave comfort, how wild horses live between bursts of terror and the rare oasis of stillness. And every time you find something good, water, shade, soft ground, you must leave it behind, because something is always watching, and even water is a gamble. You've been moving for days now, somewhere between a migration and a marathon with no cheering crowd at the finish line. Your legs have stopped sending complaints. They've moved straight into numb resignation, and just when you think, maybe we've earned a little peace, it happens. The worst kind of predator appears. Not the lion, not the wolf. Humans. You don't see them at first, you smell them. That strange scent of plastic, fuel, salt, and cold metal that doesn't belong anywhere near grass or hooves. Your herd tenses immediately. Even the stallion's nostrils flare, his ears flicking back. He doesn't know where they are, but he knows they're close. You edge closer to your mother. She's vibrating with unease. She doesn't run, not yet. But every muscle is coiled like a spring. Then you hear the sound, a distant growl, not an animal. An engine. The worst thing about humans. They don't need claws. They come with traps, corals, poison, tranquilizers, helicopters, patience, laws, bureaucracy. They show up under the banner of conservation, management, or land use. But for you it all ends the same: fences, fear, family torn apart. One mainstream fact. Wild horse populations in the United States and Australia are often managed by government programs that round up and relocate animals using helicopters and corral traps. It sounds clinical. It feels like war. You crest a ridge and see it. Metal fencing, half camouflaged in the brush. A salt lick placed temptingly nearby, and worse, some horses inside already. Trapped, panicked, bleeding from fence cuts. Crying out with sounds you didn't know horses could make. The lead mare freezes, then turns, fast. The herd follows. No hesitation. Not this time, but it's too late for the ones in the trap. You glance back once and see a young stallion trying to leap the fence. He fails. Hard. A crash. A limp. A whinny that sounds like betrayal. You run harder. The herd splits into two groups to confuse the pursuers. Dust clouds rise again. You trip, almost fall, right yourself. Keep going. Here's your quirky tidbit. Some herds learn to spot human vehicles from miles away and will actively avoid entire regions for years after a roundup. They hold grudges deeper than some divorced parents. And you're learning. Fast. After an hour, the fences disappear behind you. The dust settles, but the damage is done. 3 are missing. The lead mare bites her lip, not literally, but you can tell, she's rattled. The stallion circles, charging at shadows, and the rest of the herd is silent. That's the thing about humans. They don't need to kill you to destroy your world, they just remove parts of it, quietly, efficiently. You huddle beside your mother that night, and for the first time, she lets you press in close, not for warmth, for grief. Scientists are still debating how horses process long-term loss, especially in the wild. But anyone who's seen a herd after a roundup knows something's missing, not just in numbers but in spirit. There's a hollowness, a jumpiness that lingers. The next day the herd changes its path. Old trails are abandoned. Safer routes are chosen, even if they're longer, harder, less forgiving. Because humans ruin everything. Water holes get fenced off. Grazing lands get sold, entire valleys vanish under the excuse of development, and worst of all, they sometimes take your friends and call it rescue. You don't have a word for domestication, but you've seen the horses in trailers, eyes wide, hooves chained, never seen again. You don't know where they go, only that they don't come back. And out here, not coming back is the most terrifying thing of all. You don't remember exactly when it happened, just that you stepped wrong. It wasn't dramatic. There wasn't a crack or a howl. just a small sharp pain when your hoof struck a rock at a weird angle. You winced, stumbled, and kept moving. Because what else can you do? But pain doesn't care that you have places to be. At first it's just a dull throb. By nightfall, it's a burning ache that turns each step into a negotiation. You start falling behind. Not much, just a few meters. But in the wild, a few meters is a death sentence with a slow introduction. Your mother looks back once, then keeps going. You can't blame her, she's not being cruel. She's doing the math. You slow her down, she risks death too. She's been through this before. Maybe she lost a foal once. Maybe more than once. That kind of experience either breaks you or turns you into someone who walks away faster. You try to hide the limp. You adjust your gait. You bite the inside of your lip and tell yourself it's just soreness. It'll pass. But you know, deep down you know what this is. You've seen it happen. Because in the wild, one injury equals death. Not immediately, but soon. Here's your mainstream fact. Horses rely entirely on 4-point mobility for survival. Unlike many animals, they can't shift weight easily to one limb or sit out an injury. If even one leg is compromised, they're slower, weaker, and quickly marked by predators. And now, you're that target. Flies swarm the sweat around your eyes. Dust kicks up from the herd ahead. You can't keep up. You fall back, step by painful step, until the noises grow fainter. Your world shrinks to labored breathing and the rhythmic stab in your leg. You pause near a bush, hoping to hide for a moment. Not rest, just disappear. A minute, maybe two. But the herd keeps moving. The sound fades. You try to call out, your voice cracks. They don't come back. You're not the first. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some injured horses have been observed using trick grazing, pretending to feed to appear relaxed while remaining stationary, hoping to blend in and avoid detection by predators. It works. Sometimes. You try it. Head down. Chew grass you can barely taste. Blink slowly. Don't draw attention. You might last the night. A vulture flies overhead. Just one. You tell yourself that means nothing. That it's flying somewhere else. But your heart knows better. By twilight, a coyote appears in the distance. Not close. Not rushing. Just watching. It knows the script. You do too. You limp forward a few more steps, hoping the pain is easing. It's not. You lie down. Not because you want to, because you have to. The earth is cold, sharp, but it doesn't hurt as much as standing. Scientists still debate whether wild horses experience despair the way humans do, but in this moment, you understand the kind of sadness that goes beyond thought, the kind that's felt in the marrow, a quiet resignation. But then, hoofbeats, faint, coming closer. Your mother. No, not her. Another foal, just as young. He pauses beside you. Doesn't speak, of course not. Just stands there, silent company. After a minute, he leaves, but he gave you something you didn't know you needed. Proof that someone noticed. You stand. It hurts. You move. It still hurts. But you keep going, because here's the last, cruel, beautiful truth of herd life. If you want to live, you must pretend you're not dying. The morning is quiet again, but not the safe kind. It's the kind of quiet where the grass barely moves, and even the birds are holding their breath. A stillness that feels like someone pressed pause on the world, except, you know better. You're back with the herd, but not quite in it. They tolerate your presence, your limp is better, manageable, but you still move differently, and in a place like this, different is dangerous. You look around, trying to count the foals that started this season with you. There used to be more, you're sure of it. But no one talks about the ones who disappeared. No one calls out their names. If they had names. Loss here isn't marked with grief rituals. It's measured in how quickly the grass grows back over the spot they fell. Today, the herd moves through a valley that looks like peace, rolling hills, a light breeze, birds chirping like background music. It's the kind of place humans would photograph and caption with something like nature's serenity. But you know the truth. Even peace is dangerous. You're grazing, lulled by routine. When a sudden snort from the lead mare freezes the entire herd, heads snap up, ears swivel. 1 second you were chewing, next second you're all statues, not because anything is wrong, but because it might be. That's the wild horse life. Even stillness must be treated as a trap. If the wind shifts wrong, if the shadows flicker strangely, if the silence deepens just enough, you move. Here's your mainstream fact. Wild horses rely on acute senses and group behavior to detect threats. One individual might not be sure what spooked them, but if enough of the herd agrees something is off, they react immediately. It's a democratic stampede. Today, no panic comes, but you remain alert for hours afterward, shoulders tense, hooves twitching involuntarily. There is no off switch. And here's your quirky tidbit. In some populations, horses have been observed reacting to the sound of camera shutters, not because they know what a camera is, but because it sounds too much like the clicking of predatory claws. Later, you reach a shallow pond, a rare moment of calm. Some of the herd drinks, others graze, a few lie down. You hesitate. Lying down here now feels wrong, but everyone else seems fine, so you try. You fold your legs slowly, awkwardly, lower yourself to the ground, close your eyes. It's the best sleep you've had in weeks, until the stallion screams. You're up in a heartbeat, legs numb, heart exploding. You don't even know what's wrong. You just run. So does everyone else. No formation, no order, just blind instinct. And that's when you hear it, the shriek of a mountain lion. It never reaches you. The stallion chased it off, probably, but the damage is done. That moment of peace, it cost you trust, in the land, in the moment, in your own instincts. Scientists are still debating whether prey animals like horses ever truly experience relaxation in the wild, or if what we see as calm is actually just low-level vigilance. The truth doesn't really matter. Either way, peace is a costume danger wears when it's lazy. By nightfall you find yourself standing alone under a clear sky, stars above you, grass beneath, cool breeze on your face. It should be beautiful, but you don't exhale, because calm is never just calm. Not for you, not here. Night creeps in with the kind of stillness that makes your skin crawl. The stars blink awake. The wind dies down. No screams, no stampedes, no helicopters, just darkness and your own breathing. But you don't relax, because now you know better. You've lived long enough to recognize the pattern when nothing is chasing you, when no one's bleeding, when even the lead mare stops scanning the horizon. That's when the trap springs. Tonight feels too calm. The herd is huddled near a ridge, clustered loosely beneath a canopy of stunted trees. The older foals nap. The adults graze quietly. Your mother stands, one leg cocked, eyes half shut, and that's when you hear the soft click. Not loud, not threatening on its own, but wrong. You freeze. The click happens again, then a soft thump. Another. You move to your mother's side, pressing into her leg. Her ear twitches. You both smell it at the same time. Blood, musk, and wet fur. You turn, and you see it. A trap, not metal this time, not human-made, a natural one. A ditch, shallow and disguised by undergrowth, where one of the young colts has fallen. He thrashes quietly, too scared to scream. His back leg is at the wrong angle. You know that angle now. The herd doesn't move. They watch, waiting, because helping costs energy, and energy means survival. You step forward instinctively, then stop. You want to help, but your body won't move, because you know what this is. He's already done for. You stay beside your mother, as the stallion snorts once and turns away. The herd moves on, quietly, slowly, strategically. The colt watches all of you go. No screams, just eyes wide in disbelief. Here's the mainstream fact. Horses are social animals, yes, but in the wild, that sociability has limits. Compassion rarely overrules survival. Injured members are often left behind. And here's a quirky tidbit. In rare cases, lead mares have been seen waiting briefly for limping herd members to catch up, especially if they're foals. But it's the exception, not the rule. The herd doesn't speak of him again. You don't know his name. He didn't have one. Maybe he was born 2 days before you. Maybe you shared your first water hole. But out here, memory is a burden. So you forget. You don't stop, because there's no reward for mourning. By the next morning, a vulture circles the ditch. You don't look. You already know. The lead mare picks a new route, away from the low ground. Maybe out of wisdom. Maybe just by chance. Either way you follow. Your mother hasn't spoken. Not that she ever really does. But she seems quieter now, as if something invisible has pressed against her ribs. That night, the herd beds down on a gentle slope. Safer, breezier. You lie down with your legs tucked beneath you, ears twitching at every snap of twig. You close your eyes, and just before sleep takes you, you remember the colt's eyes as he watched everyone walk away. You tell yourself you won't end up like him. You don't know how, but you have to believe it. Because out here, even hope is a survival tactic. You've grown. You don't notice it day to day. But the way you move now, stronger, quicker, more deliberate, betrays it. Your legs no longer feel like borrowed stilts. Your hooves land with confidence. You're not a foal anymore. But now, something new begins to haunt you. Not the predators. Not the helicopters. Not even the traps. Time. It starts subtly. You notice the lead mare doesn't graze as far anymore. The stallion's kicks don't fly quite as high. And some of the older mares, once thunder on hooves, lag behind when the herd picks up pace. And then, one day, one of them is just not there. No one talks about it. Of course not. But you remember, she taught you how to reach the itchy spot between your shoulders using a tree trunk. You remember her eyes, soft and sharp. Her coat, always flecked with dust, even when there wasn't any wind. You don't know where she went, but you know what it means. In the wild, aging out of the herd is a slow fade into invisibility. Here's your mainstream fact. Older wild horses often lose status and access to the best grazing or safest resting spots. If their health declines, they fall behind. If they fall behind, they disappear. The herd doesn't wait for age. You start noticing more. A gelding with a limp, a mare with a hollow look, her ribs visible beneath thinning fur. They still walk, still graze, but there's something ghost-like in their presence. Your mother's slowing down too. Not enough to leave her behind, but enough that you notice. Her movements are stiffer in the mornings. She doesn't swat flies as often. Sometimes she stands alone, not out of choice, but because her body needs a break the rest of the herd doesn't offer. You stay closer to her these days. And here's your quirky tidbit. In some wild horse groups, older mares are treated with an odd kind of reverence. Not protection, exactly, but allowance. They lead shorter migrations, take slower trails. The herd seems to adapt, briefly, but only briefly, because if danger comes, they're left behind. One evening, a young stallion challenges the leader, not with violence, just posturing, snorts, high steps, sideways glances. The old stallion stares, unimpressed. But you see it, that flicker of doubt in his eyes. He knows, they all know. His time is nearing. Scientists are still debating how long wild horses can survive once they've left the herd. Some last weeks, others vanish in days. Solitary survival is rare. The wild doesn't favor loners. You graze next to a familiar patch of trees and find the faintest trace, hoof prints that don't belong to the herd. Old or dragged, off path. You don't follow them. You just stare. Later that night, as you lie beside your mother, her breath shallow, her eyes distant, you press your body into hers. Gently, not demanding warmth, just offering it, because you don't know how much longer she'll keep up. Because the herd is already starting to leave her behind, and because you're not ready to run without her, but you will. Because out here, love doesn't outrun the wind, only legs do. Your legs are strong now. Your body sleek with experience. You no longer stumble when the herd sprints, and your ears catch danger before the dust rises. But with strength comes burden, and a truth you've avoided facing until now. Every gallop brings you closer to the final one. It happens on a hot, dry day. You wake to the sound of silence. No shuffling, no snorts, no wind, just absence. You look around and realize what your bones already knew. Your mother is gone. No scent trail, no signs of struggle, just a quiet vacancy where she used to stand. You graze the air with your muzzle, trying to find something, anything that proves she was here. A hoof print, a hair on a twig, a sigh on the wind. But the herd moves, and so must you. You carry her absence like a second mane, heavy and invisible, but you don't let it slow you, because you know how this story ends if you do. The same way it ended for her, the same way it ends for all of them. The final gallop doesn't come with ceremony. It comes on cracked hooves and weakening muscle. It comes with the slow betrayal of joints that once powered across mountains. It comes when your eyes dull, not because you stop seeing, but because there's nothing new left to see. You start noticing the old stallion more. The fire in his body dimmed. His patrols now ceremonial. He's tolerated, respected, but no longer feared. And the young challengers are growing bold. Side eyes become tail swishes become kicks. No one says it out loud, but the changing of the guard is already happening. Here's your mainstream fact. Stallions rarely die in battle. Most are simply ousted, driven into solitude by younger rivals. Once alone, their chances plummet. Without a herd, they are exposed, unprotected. Their decline is quiet and inevitable. And here's your quirky tidbit. In some populations, aged horses have been seen walking in wide, wandering loops, revisiting old watering holes, tracing ancient migration paths, as if trying to remember who they once were before the world started letting go. You catch yourself doing it one evening, pausing at a cliff's edge, gazing down at a valley you barely remember crossing. And suddenly, you feel it, the weight of every hoofprint that's ever brought you here, the ones that walked beside you, the ones that faded behind you. The herd grazes below, unaware or pretending, and you're still alive, still moving. But you feel it now, the truth that's always been there. There is no retirement for wild horses, only distance. You lie down that night slower than usual. You wake stiffer than you did the day before. The cycle is beginning, you know it. And one day soon, you'll step aside, by choice or by force. You'll watch the herd move on, your muscles screaming to follow. But you won't be able to. And the earth will grow quiet again, but not yet. Tonight, the stars are above you. The wind is soft. You sleep with one ear open, your breath slow, your body still humming with memory. You are still part of the herd, for now. The sky above you is dimmed into its gentlest version of black. Not the sharp, predator-filled darkness of fear, but the soft, humming hush of distance. The herd sleeps, some standing, some curled on the ground, like folded shadows. The wind whispers through the grass, brushing against your sides like a mother's final touch. You stand still, your breath slow, your muscles ache in familiar ways. But for the first time in a long while, the ache feels quiet, not urgent, just part of you now. The night is long, but not heavy. You feel the warmth of the ground beneath your hooves. The stars above seem to blink slower, as if time itself is catching its breath. And maybe you finally can too. You listen to the deep breath of the stallion, to the rustle of a young colt rolling over, to the whisper of your own heart. Steady, calm, real. Tomorrow will come. The herd will rise. The dust will stir. There will be flies and fear and distance to cover. But that's not now. Now is this a rare stillness that doesn't demand a sprint, a moment that doesn't hide a threat. Just a long exhale under a sleeping sky. You are still here. You are still wild. You are still running, but not tonight. So let your legs rest. Let the air fill your lungs without urgency. Let your eyes close without fear. Let the earth hold your weight, if only for a while. And as you drift into sleep, remember, you survived everything they said you wouldn't, even the quiet.